Good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm a few minutes late. My apologies for that. I've got I've got a couple of articles that are just mind-blowing that I'm going to be getting to in just a moment. It's just one of them involves a local news station that is totally misleading people on what happened. The headline is completely off from what happened. So we're gonna get into that. Another crazy article after that, and then I've got a little more after that. So I don't have a ton for you tonight. I've got 6 articles total. But that first one, I'm gonna ask folks' opinion or their thoughts. So if anybody's out there, please chime in when we get to that. So anyway, before we start doing the news, obviously, as you could tell by the thumbnail and the title, I did get the Militant, Geek, Preparedness channel going. Got the Facebook group going. There's a Facebook page. I don't know how much I'll use the page. Probably mainly the group. And I just want to say, I'm going to keep the news over here. News. And I'll keep preparedness over there. Imagine that. There won't be any fluff. There won't be a bunch of nonsense. I'll do my best to be nice. I'll do my best not to speak on other channels and whatnot over there. I'm gonna try to focus just on preparedness. I'm gonna try, even if I have to get some horse blinders or something. I'm gonna try. What I won't be doing is some of the same things that I never intended here. I'm not looking to make a bunch of money over there. I'm not looking to, I do want the channel to grow, but only for awareness. That's it. It's not that I want it to grow so I can become a YouTube star. I think, well, I think a lot of the whole famous YouTube thing, it just doesn't, it doesn't impress me. Because even some of your biggest YouTube channels who think that they are, I guess, celebrities at Hollywood, they don't realize that they're not household names, but yet they act like they are. So I will try not to talk about any of that stuff over on the on the other channel. Like I said, I'm going to keep it to prepping, and unlike the current preparedness channels, or so-called preparedness channels, I'm not going to be just pushing out content. I'm not going to be trying to find a video to make every day or anything like that. That's not the intent. The intent is just to make a channel that's really easy to navigate and find stuff related to preparedness. So instead of having 5,000 videos or whatever over there, there's going to be just enough videos to cover the important topics and to go into discussion about them. I'm not going to be reaching with everything I can to come up with content to be putting on there just to be able to put out another video. That's not at all. I want to keep it kind of slim and trim and to the point. So it's going to be very different. The only exception to what I just said is I will very likely do live streams, and they're not going to be live streams where we sit and we talk about the weather and the news and all that stuff. They are going to be focused on preparedness, and I mean heavily focused on preparedness. When I got involved into vaping, we had vaping channels, and I was one of the people that was hosting on the Total Vaping Network. And that's what we did. At that time, YouTube wasn't so freaked out about music or anything like that. So we would just hang out. We'd go live. We'd just hang out. We'd have music in the background. And we were there for anybody who had any vaping questions. They could come in the chat. They could ask us questions. We would answer them. And that's what we did. And I'm going to take that to Preparedness. I'm going to, when I do go live, and I will probably have a schedule of when I go live. It'll probably be once a week or something. It's not there to just pump out content. And we'll just hang out and talk preparedness as much as we can. There is a local focus. So when I go into talking about different resources and stuff like that, I will be using a lot of local examples because it doubles not only as a preparedness group for everybody, but even more specifically, preparedness group for my locality, my town, essentially my area. So I've got good feelings about it. I think it's going to do well. And I posted, I know I'm not supposed to work on the Sabbath, but I posted a video yesterday, and the first video, and we've actually got a list over on Facebook. We've got a Facebook group. Anybody's welcome to join it. And in our local town Facebook that I founded like 3.5 years ago, I put up a poll. And I basically was asking what people wanted to learn about most. And so I gave the poll a few days and wound up with the results. And I think these are them here. Yeah. So these were the results here. However, I've got a better list of them. When I say a better list, I mean like as in order over on Facebook. So let me pull that up real quick like. And I'll let you know what we're going to be covering. Oh, I didn't make that post there. Okay. Let me look in the discussion group. Hang on. What the heck? Another deal that we can't see? Sheesh. Okay. Have to get rid of that after the show. So here's the list in which we're going to, or the order in which we're going to cover topics to start out with. Of course, there'll be more added down the line. Number 1 on the poll was water filtration and purification. Number 2 on the poll was communications. Number 3 was alternative power / electric. Number 4 is important skill sets. Number 5 is home security. Number 6 is alternative heating. Number 7 is food storage. Number 8 is bug out bags. Number 9 is gasifier / alternative fuel. And number 10 is cooking in grid down conditions. And I know that there's a lot more topics than just that. But again, the intent was to get a foundation laid, and then we can kind of go from there. So, but it's not going to be something to where I'm trying to put out videos every day and all of that nonsense. That's not even the intent of the channel. Yikes! Segway, I just saw this headline come in. Segway recalls 220,000 scooters. That's a lot. Due to a fall hazard that has resulted in 20 injuries. Yikes. That's pretty crazy, right? So let me get rid of these notifications here because I got a bunch like at the same time. So anyway, those are going to be the subjects that we talk about when we go through them. So I'm going to be doing the video on water filtration over the next few days. It so happens that our gravity feed water filter needs cleaned desperately. I got to do it about every 6 months. And so I'm not going to make a video of cleaning it. It'd be kind of hard to do with the space and stuff we have in the kitchen. But I'm going to get it cleaned up. And then I'm going to take the clean components, and part of the video that I make on it's going to be showing how I built it for folks that want to try to build their own. So, and then the other part's going to be, about the Sawyer squeeze and all of that good stuff. Just how to filter and purify water. Going to start with the basics, and then of course I will talk about how to build your own if the big event happens and you don't happen to have a water filter, how you can go scavenge materials and build one. So I'm going to try to be as thorough as I can and, try to provide as many alternative solutions for people as possible. So that's the new project. That's what we've got going on. Other than that, I've been struggling to get seeds started. So I had a couple that the seeds, I put them in water, they cracked open, saw the little tail thing, the taproot, I call it a tail. Saw the taproot, and when I transplanted them, nada. So, well, maybe there's something with my soil. So I went out in the shed, and I got some rock wool blocks that I've got, and I'm trying it again. Hopefully in the next couple of days I've got sprouts. So we shall see. My goodness. And it's probably going to be a pretty quick night tonight because I don't have a lot of news. However, and I see the concurrent viewers going from 1 to 2, back and forth. So I don't know if there's really anybody out there right now or not. But if you are out there, I encourage you to participate in this question. If I were to ask you, if I presented a headline to you, I'm kind of curious what you would think that headline's saying. The headline is, Man drives car into protesters outside a Tesla dealership, sheriff says. That's the headline. Man drives car into protesters outside a Tesla dealership, sheriff says. I don't know if there's actually anybody there or not. I don't trust YouTube numbers. If there is somebody out there and wants to participate, what do you think happened? Put it in the chat. Because it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. And I want to talk a little bit about the psychology behind that headline. A man drives car into protesters outside a Tesla dealership, sheriff says. What do you think happened? What picture do you get in your head when I read that headline? I don't know if anybody it keeps bouncing back and forth on the numbers. I don't trust YouTube and their numbers. So you would naturally think that some dude just barreled into protesters that were protesting Elon Musk outside of a Tesla dealership. That's pretty much what the headline says, right? Man drives car into protesters outside a Tesla dealership, sheriff says. So you think somebody mowed down some protesters, right? That would be natural. So the next question would be, and this would be on the psychology of the headline, what political affiliation would you expect somebody to belong to if they mowed down protesters that were protesting Elon Musk outside of a Tesla dealership? I mean, do you think a liberal would be doing that, or do you think it'd be a conservative doing that? My vote is it would be a conservative. That would be my vote. So, just by the headline alone, without reading the article, because come on, let's face it, there's a lot of people out there that won't read the article, they'll just read the headline. You would think that some crazy conservative mowed down some liberal protesters protesting Elon Musk outside of a Tesla dealership. That would be the natural thought about that headline. They were very, very tricky with that headline. I give them that. I don't respect it. I think it's a bunch of BS. But let's get to actually what happened here. You see the headline. I told you just as it's written. The article says this. A man drove his car into protesters outside a Tesla dealership in Palm Beach County, Florida, but did not injure any of those who had gathered to demonstrate against billionaire Elon Musk and President Donald Trump over the weekend, according to law enforcement. The planned protest was one of a slew across the U.S. at businesses associated with Tesla, the company led by Musk, in response to the billionaire's work with the Trump administration in cutting federal funding and the workforce. And it goes in and it talks about the attacks and all that. Says here, the protest on Saturday was interrupted when Andrew Doodle drove his vehicle onto the sidewalk full of protesters at a slow speed, forcing people to scramble out of the way to avoid being hit, according to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. And they changed this article. That is not what the article had on it. At all. In fact, let me show you what the article had on it, okay? Let me turn the volume up so you can hear it. That's interesting, because that is not the article I read, I don't know, a couple hours or so ago.
That's word incorrect. Of course it's incorrect.
Rolling his Model Y back to factory sales.
And I know it's only
Joe
one
Romer
speaker,
is a Tesla
so
owner, no more.
I can't fix that. That's on their end.
A week ago, while covering a protest at a Tesla service center, we found Romer as he drove past the picket line.
I'm in the process of getting my car repaired so that I can sell it.
Today, he says a weight is lifted.
I feel better because I was getting to the point where this was being embarrassing driving this car because of Elon Musk and the things he's doing right now. And that just, I find annoying and not acceptable.
Even though he's selling for less than a third of what he originally paid 4 years ago, Romer is not alone.
From our hub, that we're picking up 8 Teslas today.
In 2025, thousands of Americans are breaking up with the automaker. Tesla cars from model year 2017 or newer made up 1.4% of all.
So you kind of get the point, right? I mean, simply the guy took his car to the Tesla dealership to sell his car back to the Tesla dealership because he's screwed up in the head. He's got Elon derangement syndrome. That is what this article talked about when it initially came out. I'm telling you right now, that's what it talked about. Hang on. Really? They posted this over on my group too. Hang on. Let me, I just got to do a quick ban. I just noticed it on the community Facebook group, so. Banner. I already did, okay. Good deal. So anyway, you would have naturally thought from that video, and that's what the article was talking about, that it was a complete sham article. So let's see what the article does say. It says he was arrested and faces an assault charge. According to court records, an attorney who could speak on Doodle's behalf wasn't immediately listed in court records. And then talks about it being the home, goes back to, talking about Doge and all that. Says Badan is a core member for the Associated... Oh, okay. That's just talking about the person who wrote the article. But yeah. You saw the video. Absolutely separate. Totally different than from what the article now says. That is messed up. That is totally messed up. Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know what they're up to. No idea what they're up to. But they were playing games. I know that. At first, they played games. Because that's what the article said. A guy took his car back to the dealership, and he had to drive around protesters that were protesting in order to get into the dealership, in order to, talk to them about getting rid. Well, he had to get his car repaired. That's what it was. He wasn't taking it to Tesla to sell it. He had to get it. He had to get something repaired on it or whatever. And then after he had that repair, then he was gonna sell it. So just to be factual, that's what the article talked about. Not somebody actually in an aggressive manner approaching protesters. Interesting. I'm gonna dig in that later. The next article, though, however, I doubt was changed. And it goes right back to what I talked about many times. And something that is becoming more and more of an epidemic in this nation. Get a little couple of vapes. And by the way, you gotta kind of ignore my hair until it grows long enough to do something in. It's in that crazy, like, it just does whatever the hell it wants to do length, and it sucks. But, hey, I gotta deal with it, so you get to deal with my wings and stuff. Let's see. Check this out. Mother accused of slitting son's throat after Disneyland trip during custody visit. Says a mother is accused of a heinous crime after a 3-day vacation to Disneyland with her 11-year-old son. Sarita Ramaraju and her son had gone to the amusement park during a custody visitation. Prosecutors alleged that Ramaraju killed the boy on Wednesday, the day he was scheduled to be returned to his father. Santa Ana police found the victim dead on a bed inside a La Quinta Inn, according to officials with the Orange County District Attorney's Office. Authorities noted that the news release that the boy's throat had been slit, or in the news release that the boy's throat had been slit. A large kitchen knife was found inside the motel room, which was purchased the day before, prosecutors said. So this was completely planned, absolutely intentional, right? She went the day before to buy the knife that she slit her own son's throat with. Details of the horrific scene that police had to investigate after they responded to the mother's 911 call were provided. The boy, who appeared dead for several hours before 911 was notified, was found with multiple stab wounds among Disneyland souvenirs. Body-worn camera footage showed police arresting the mother. In the video, a female police comments she has blood on her hands while placing handcuffs on Ramaraju. The 48-year-old mother allegedly called first responders to report she had killed her son. So she called 911 to let them know what she did. Prosecutors said Ramaraju had moved out of state after divorcing the boy's father in 2018. During the custody visit with the boy, Ramaraju had brought 3-day passes to Disneyland for both of them. Ramaraju was scheduled to check out of the motel and return the boy to his father on Wednesday, but instead committed the alleged crime and took pills to kill herself. She was arrested on suspicion of murder, including child endangerment, torture, and aggravated mayhem charges. After she was released from a hospital on Thursday, she is scheduled to be arraigned on Friday. So another instance. This is mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing. And I would almost bet that if you ask the father, did you have any concerns about her mental well-being? Do you have any concerns of what she might do to the child or anything? I bet dear old dad would have said, yeah, she's messed up in the head. Mind you, she is the one, right? She is the one that chose to move out of state. Apparently they got divorced. She chose to move out of state. This wasn't about dear old dad divorcing her, getting custody of the kid, and then him taking off. She moved out of state. And then turns around when she has an opportunity to see the boy. I'm assuming, I could only assume here, I'm assuming that she probably didn't have normal, like every other weekend kind of visits if she lived out of state. So I'm assuming that this was kind of a big deal. Like, hey, I'm going to take them to Disneyland for a few days. I'll bet you, if you asked Dad, he would have told you that she was messed up in the head. In fact, you'd probably find proof of that in the custody court file, whatever, the files, the record. You would probably have found truth of it in there, that she wasn't right in the head. That was probably the reason why he was able to get custody. Because let me tell you something. In the United States and any other country, because this is a global thing, Mom has to be completely messed up out of her mind for Dad to have a chance at getting custody. There's not many other exceptions than that, other than if Dad just happens to have a complete boatload of money, and that doesn't even do it all the time. Look at Cash Jackson. He was running governor of Illinois. Is what he was running for quite some time ago. Military veteran, an extremely good record in the military. Pretty stand-up guy. He had plenty of money to fight for, I'm talking visitation, not even custody. And he still didn't get granted visitation. But boy, he sure had to pay a whole boatload of child support, even though he wasn't allowed to see his kids. I'm pretty sure he actually wound up going to jail because he wouldn't pay it. Because he wasn't allowed to see them. See, there used to be, if you didn't get to see your kids, if Mom withheld the kids from Dad, they didn't make Dad pay the child support because that's kind of bogus. It's one-sided. That is not the way it is today at all. There is many instances to where Dad don't get to see the kid, but boy, they got to pay that damn child support every week. It's insane. It is absolutely insane, the family court system. And if you haven't been a victim of it, then you just don't know. It's crazy. There's a father's rights group that I belong to, and they posted a meme. I saw it earlier today. And it said essentially that anybody that hadn't been through the system has no idea of what it's like. Because you would think it would be like any other court to where you would have a fighting chance. And that is not the case. Not like 99% of the time. It's a shame. And it's a tragedy. I ask for prayers for this father and the rest of the family that's affected from this, because that's got to be absolutely devastating. 11 years old. Absolutely devastating. It's crazy. It is just beyond words. So there was one cool thing. I don't know if I talked about this on Thursday or not. I don't know if I can't remember when it was Friday. So no, I guess I haven't talked to you about this yet. Not a lot of news gets me really excited in a good way, but this does. For multiple reasons, I'll explain. Trump awards contract for the most lethal aircraft ever to Boeing. And this is, it is the NGAD aircraft, the next generation air dominance. It's going to be the, they're naming it the F-47, not to be confused with the P-47, but they're calling this the F-47. And Trump said, well, let me read the article. I don't know if what I was going to say next is in this or not. Says U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he has awarded Boeing the contract to build the Air Force's next generation fighter jet. And the reason why this is doubly exciting is because not only the announcement of the new jet, but also it's not just that Boeing's getting it, but Boeing St. Louis is getting it. So St. Louis is going to be getting those jobs, and that is great for our area. That is incredible for our area. Article goes on to say the state-of-the-art aircraft will be named the F-47. Trump, the 47th U.S. president, announced at the Oval Office on Friday. And I doubt those two things are related. Could be. I'm not saying they're not, but I doubt it. At my direction, the U.S. Air Force is moving forward with the world's first sixth-generation fighter jet. Number 6, sixth generation. Nothing in the world comes even close to it, he said. Now, I do have to argue this. I do have to dispute it, because right now, China is flying around its first sixth-generation aircraft. So, with Trump, you got to kind of take some of what he says with a grain of salt, because he really likes to exaggerate things. It is what it is. It used to really annoy me. Now it just goes past me. I don't even hear a lot of that, But it says, according to the president, the jet has been in the works for a long period of time and will be the most lethal aircraft ever built. And I would say that's probably a correct statement. It says the program was previously known as Next Generation Air Dominance, with the Air Force acknowledging that it had flown a full-scale prototype of the jet during Trump's first presidency, which is something I was going to say. They have been testing the prototype of this for 5 years now. So this isn't, something that it's not they're announcing the contest for the, project. This is announcing the winner of the project. So I'm sure there were 2 or more aircraft, but I'm sure there was another company that had put up an aircraft as well, like McDonnell Douglas as an example. But Boeing's the one that won the contract, which typically means probably the McDonnell Douglas one was probably the better one, because that's kind of how things work. We got the crappier space shuttle. There was 2 space shuttles that were put forward, and we got the crappier of the 2. If we would have gotten the one that didn't get the space shuttle contract, I couldn't tell you that Columbia wouldn't have happened. That had to do with them not replacing an O-ring on one of the big red boosters. But, and I can't remember which one it was that broke up on re-entry. I can't remember the name of which space shuttle that was. I don't know if that was Atlantis or whatever. I can't remember. However, that would not have happened, because the deal with the space shuttle that didn't get the contract, one of the biggest differences was the heat shields. And if I recall correctly, all of those heat shields had to be replaced on the space shuttle that they chose. The other version, that wasn't the case. They could use them and use them and use them. So, however, it was cheaper buying it, right out to go with the one that they chose. However, I mean, by the time you launched the thing a few times, you done spent more than what you would have spent on the other design. So, they commonly picked the wrong one, right? When the F-22 came out, the other one in the running was the F-23, the Black Widow 2. And in many ways, it was a better aircraft than the F-22. I love the F-22, great aircraft. But the F-23 Black Widow 2 was, without a doubt, ahead of the F-22 Raptor. But that's what they do. So we'll see when they release it. But it says the F-47 flies with drones. It flies with many, many drones, as many as you want. It's a technology that is new, but it's not fly by itself. It flies with many drones, as many as you want, and that is something that no other plane can do, Trump said. Yeah. But anyway, that's true. This is going to have drones that will work, from my understanding, autonomously with the, don't get me wrong, they can command the drones, but a lot of the actions and stuff by the drones will be autonomous. Says after a rigorous and thorough competition between some of America's top aerospace companies, the Air Force is going to be awarding the contract for the next generation air dominance platform to Boeing, he announced. Boeing beat Lockheed Martin for the deal. After the announcement, Boeing shares rose by 5%, while Lockheed's fell. Oh, it's Lockheed, sorry. I was saying McDonnell Douglas. Fell by nearly 7%. The F-47 is intended to replace the F-22 Raptor, a crewed aircraft designed to enter combat alongside drones, which is produced by Lockheed. So I guess Lockheed is going to make the drones for this, but Boeing's going to make the plane itself. We have given an order for a lot of F-47s. We cannot tell you the price, Trump said. Which his reasoning for that was kind of goofy, to be honest. I don't think his reasoning for not telling us the price had anything to do with why he said. He said it's because then that would let the enemies know, basically how much technology went into it and how big the aircraft was. And I'm like, no, a dollar sign doesn't tell you that. I don't think he wanted the American people to know what that price tag was. But it says earlier this month, Lockheed Martin was also eliminated from the competition to build the U.S. Navy's next-generation carrier-based stealth fighter jet amid the Pentagon's discontent with delays in upgrading its F-35s, according to Reuters. Boeing has also been under fire in recent years due to flaws of its aircraft. You know about all that and blah, blah, blah. So I'm excited. We get a new jet. And I'm excited even on top of that because St. Louis gets to build them, and that's great for our local economy. So that is good news. Headline just came out. EU afraid Trump could cut off weapons support, says Washington Post. You think? What do they expect him to do? Right? He's trying to make a path to peace, and they're trying to get Ukraine to go harder. So this next one, I don't know. I like the thought of nations being able to be sovereign and all. And that could cover a lot of things, right? But I think it should be across the full gambit, right? I think, if North Korea, if Iran wants nukes, well, they're sovereign nations. Nobody should control what other nations are doing as long as those nations aren't harming other nations. That's when you bring the hammer down, when they start causing harm. However, this one is just mind-boggling. has nothing to do with weapons. Well, I don't know. I kind of consider this in a way a weapon. It's a psychological weapon, that's for damn sure. So I gotta have a sip of coffee and a couple of vapes real quick. Damn, I'm slow getting through these tonight. I thought I was gonna probably be done by 8:30, but that didn't happen. Get this. You must welcome gay people, the UN says to Hungary. The country, not the dinner table. The UN office, or maybe we should start calling it the orifice now. The UN orifice of the High Commissioner for Human Rights has sounded the alarm over Hungary's recent law banning pride events, urging the government to repeal it. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has argued that the legislation seeks to protect minors from harmful influences. On Tuesday, Hungary's parliament passed a law prohibiting pride events and authorizing the authorities to use facial recognition technology to identify participants and give them fines of $500. The legislation, backed by Orbán's Fidesz party, or however that's pronounced, and his junior partner, the Christian Democrats, passed 136 to 27. Pretty overwhelming, under an expedited procedure. The measure amends the country's assembly regulations to ban events that violate Hungary's child protection laws, which prohibit the portrayal of homosexuality to minors. All profits from the fines will also be diverted to child protection policies. The law has sparked protests in Budapest with opposition lawmakers using smoke bombs in the parliament chamber. So yeah, the United Nations is trying to step in. Another reason why we need to get the hell out of the United Nations. The United Nations is trying to step in and force Hungary, or at least, coerce them, into allowing their children to be propagandized by the rainbow community. It's mind-blowing to me. The UN won't do anything about the ethnic cleansing that's going on, right? There's ethnic cleansing going on in the Middle East. There's ethnic cleansing going on in Asia. There's ethnic cleansing going on in Africa. It's all over. It is all over. The UN won't step in and do anything about that, which is primarily, what they were started for. But, they say choose your battles wisely. Well, they're not choosing wisely. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. I think at that point, I would ban the UN from having anything to do with my nation. They wouldn't be able to come in. They wouldn't be able to nothing. They would be considered an enemy of the state. And I'm not joking. If I was the leader of a country and they tried to pull that on me, I would deem them an enemy of the state. And then, we've got this other nonsense going on. There are so many elections happening across the country. And it almost seems like every single one of them is just absolutely loaded with corruption. Here's another instance. Turkish court orders Istanbul mayor jailed amid violent protests. Now, this is just a mayor, right? But I guess he was, I'll just read it. It says the Turkish court formally arrested Istanbul mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, I'm sure I got that way wrong, on Sunday and ordered his pre-trial detention on corruption charges. And that's what a lot of them are coming up with. Oh, it's corruption, right? The true corruption are the charges on these people. Remind you of another nation that we kind of hold dear to our heart? The news comes amid violent protests that swept the country following İmamoğlu's or whatever detention earlier this week. The mayor, a prominent member of the opposition Republican People's Party, who is seen as a key rival to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, was detained on Wednesday as part of a sweeping probe into an alleged extortion, bribery, and fraud. Prosecutors also opened a separate case into his alleged ties with the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which Ankara considers to be a terrorist organization. I mean, this is insane. It's absolutely insane. Where's the UN, right? This is the type of stuff that the UN is supposed to be taking care of. Not forcing countries to accept alternative lifestyles. I mean, that's just insane to me. Insane. Okay, I've got one more article. And I am taking my happy butt to bed. I've got a few things I got to try to get done tomorrow. I'm ready for bed and hope I can get everything done. Oh, goodness. Hopefully, anyway. I gotta make bread for the dog tomorrow. Because, you know, that's what she gets, right? This dog, the weirdest dog ever. So, to start with, you know, we always give her a treat when she comes in from going outside, always. It's not something we did just to get her to start doing it. We continue to do it because she's our spoiled kid. And so, we didn't have the money to buy her treats one time. And I had to come up with something for her. Well, an unrelated adventure, I wanted to try to make hardtack, you know, the hardtack, prepper hardtack stuff, right? And so I made some hardtack, and no big deal. I obviously couldn't eat it because I ain't got no damn teeth, but I could sit there and suck on a piece or whatever a little bit and let it dissolve. But I mean, it's hardtack, so it's not like there's really any kind of flavor to it. But I wanted to make it. I just wanted to make it. So I made it, and it turned out the dog was crazy about it. Well, after I did a little looking, because I wanted to see, well, is it okay to be giving her this? Sure enough, I found out that that was actually the original dog biscuits way back when. So I started making her hardtack. And I cut them in circles and stuff, little circles, and gave them to her as treats. She loved it. She loved it. Well, we ran out of her hardtack treats, and I hadn't had a chance to make her more. And she went out and did her thing, came back in, so I had to have something to give her. And here I've got this homemade bread that I've been making. And I just tore off just a little hunk, nothing big, because you don't want to feed dogs a bunch of bread. And I just tore off a little bitty hunk and gave it to her. And she went nuts. I mean, even more than the hardtack. I mean, just absolutely nuts. And so now that's what I make for her for a treat. And that works for me because it's pretty easy to do. Just throw the ingredients in the bread machine and click start. She loves it. So we just go with it. But I got to make her some of that tomorrow. I'm hoping I'm not as sore tomorrow because I really need to get more on the spring cleaning done. And bunch of fun stuff like that. So let me go ahead and do this last headline so I can get the heck out of here. Trump hails rational Putin conversations. And just going to read a few paragraphs here. It says, U.S. President Donald Trump has praised his work relationship with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, describing their conversations as very rational and reiterating a desire to end the Ukraine conflict. In an interview aboard Air Force One with the outlet Outkick on Saturday, Trump reflected on his history with Putin and the Ukraine conflict, describing himself as the only person capable of stopping the Russian leader. I don't think there's anybody in the world that is going to stop Putin except me, and I think I'm going to be able to stop him, he said. We've had some very rational discussions, and I just want to see the people stop getting killed. So, I would say, though, that from my understanding of what's going on, that they are very rational, especially compared to, his dealings with Zelensky. So, it's a good thing. I want to see the war end. I don't like the idea of war. I don't like the idea of a bunch of people dying just, I don't know, I think it's crazy. However, I don't think that defending yourself is crazy. And I mean, once one person makes a move, the other person got to defend themselves. I can't blame Russia for what's going on. And it's not that I'm a Russian sympathizer or I'm a Putin puppet or anything like that, but I know the backstory. And if you understand the backstory, you understand that Putin is actually kind of defending themselves. Because this is mostly, and you're going to get a lot of people to say, oh, it's resources, all the minerals, No, it's not. It's NATO. Those resources have been in that ground for a long damn time. Putin didn't act before because of the resources. When did Putin act? What was the switch that made Putin act? It was Biden's push to make Ukraine a part of NATO. That is when Putin acted. And there had been lies told to Putin and Russia the entire time. Since the dissolution of the USSR, there were lies that were told to Putin. They were told that, oh, NATO's not going to encroach you, NATO's not going to be on your doorstep, and guess what? NATO is on their doorstep. They already are. And, this whole thing with Ukraine is just drawing that line, that imaginary line, and saying, no more. Because not only would it be bullshit, but on top of that, that gives a massive military advantage to NATO if NATO had Ukraine. Because now that they've got another sea that they can come in, not just land that they could come in, they've got sea that they could come in. So, I get why Putin didn't want NATO in Ukraine. It makes sense. So, I can't sit there and say, oh, Russia attacked them. Yeah, Russia did attack them. Why? Oh, because Putin's a bad guy. No. I'm not saying he's a great guy, but it's not like he's an evil dictator that just wants to go kill a bunch of people. He's protecting the Russian interests. He's doing exactly what I would expect him to do. He's doing exactly what I would expect him to do. I would expect us to do the same. So, I don't know. Kind of is what it is, Anyway, I am going to get out of here. I am going to go get some rest. I don't think I slept real well last night. I'm kind of beat. And God willing, we'll talk to you all tomorrow. So, hope you all have a good night. And we'll see you tomorrow. Shalom.